Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called True Legend 2010. This came out after David Carradine died, similar to his dad, John Carradine, who had movies coming out after he died also. The circumstances of David Carradine's death are a mystery. He was found with a rope around his ding-a-ling, and his wife filed a civil lawsuit accusing murder rather than self-asphyxiation. That was listed as the probable cause of death, or the most likely cause of death, I should say. Anyways, they dedicated this movie to David Carradine at the end, similar to how they had a little for Natalie, after Natalie Wood died in the middle of filming Brainstorm, which had a really lame ending that was supposed to have a grand finale with her in it, but it was not to be. So it's kind of ironic that I saw these two movies back to back. I started watching half of Lorna, the 1964 Russ Meyer film, when he ventured from nudie cutesies into regular feature films with actual dialogue. And Lorna is incredible. I have to give you a little sneak preview of Lorna, because it's a 1964 black and white Russ Meyer his first feature film, as I mentioned. And I don't know why but blondies always look better in black and white. The blondie Lorna has these huge, ginormic mounds. I'm talking double D size, and great big pink nipples. She's pretty massive, and I'm only halfway through it, and it contains no less than 2 rape scenes halfway through the movie. So it's got that kind of brutal sexuality, similar to Michael Finley movies from around this time period, which are also black and white. I think Doris Wishman was doing these kind of movies around the same time also. So, yeah, pretty cool little subgenre that I'm watching right now. Kind of miss those Something Weird videos that had all those violent sexuality movies from the mid 60s. And it's by no means as frantic and fast-paced as crazy movies that Russ Meyer made later on. I'm talking about Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill, and Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. But enough about Lorna. I might not get around to reviewing that one, though, because still got 2 more David Carradine discs to watch. Dark Fields and Autumn, a couple of horror flicks. watching some of his last movies. And I love True Legend. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a great flick, even though it has the wire kung fu. And the kid is kind of annoying with this constant whining all the time. I can understand and appreciate why he's whining. If I had parents like that, I'd be whining too. But not to mention his uncle, his crazy uncle. And I kind of like the kid towards the end, though. He's really loyal to his father, kind of similar to my son, who's very much attached to me. But at the same time, if I give him an iPhone or a Chromebook, he'll be like totally focused on that instead of me. But which is fine. I mean, I like to give him total freedom to explore his interests, unlike his mother. So, getting back to the movie, um, the the director was also a stunt coordinator for Kill Bill Volume 2 and Kung Fu Hustle. He also worked on The Matrix, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I just can't find what his role was in The Matrix, but I'm guessing it has something to do with the kung fu moves in The Matrix. And I actually love this movie better than The Matrix or Kill Bill Volume 2. But I thought Volume 2, ironically, was better than the first Kill Bill Volume 1. So that was probably the reason why. And this movie was a huge financial flop, considering the amount of money they poured into the production. Didn't make nearly as much money in terms of ticket sales. And even DVD sales probably wasn't that great. I know around this time there was a big push towards 3D, which kind of fizzled out. Wasn't a good marketing ploy by the big entertainment companies around this time. I guess the Hobbit, Peter Jackson movies were 3D also, and there were just a bunch of 3D movies around this time. Alice in Wonderland with Johnny Depp, I think. I'm trying to remember all the 3D movies that came out. But a lot of the televisions were 3D. I remember selling televisions when this movie came out. I sold 3D Sony televisions at Best Buy because I was in between jobs, and it was during the massive recession. That came about when Obama was president, right after Jorge W. Bush. And so that was a challenging time for me. I think it put a strain on my second marriage quite a bit because my son was just born, and I got laid off from my cushy sweetheart job in downtown San Francisco. So that was hard for me, and I didn't make much money that year doing these kind of side jobs. part-time and trying to take care of my baby son. But anyways, um, getting back to the movie, I know I'm getting sidetracked a lot here, but it's kind of like a baby cart in the sense that the son is so attached to his father, even though this father is a drunk wino kind of bum character towards the end. But David Carradine only makes a brief appearance towards the end. I wouldn't say a cameo, but he doesn't get too much time in this one. The rest of the characters are all Chinese, of course, and so is the director. So it's a Chinese movie with English subtitles, and pretty good flick. I think it's in Mandarin, if I'm not mistaken, even though the director is from Sichuan. He's from Canton or Zhang. I forget what the Chinese name for it is, but it's the same province as my ex-wife grew up in, and the story is about. I think it takes place in 1861 during the Qing Dynasty, which was about to be overthrown, and there's a power struggle there, but it's not really explained during the movie. There's a little bit of Chinese lettering explanation in the beginning, but not much. And so the hero guy, he's got an adopted brother. They're fighting against rebel forces, I guess, and they end up winning a major battle. By the way, this movie is about 50% fast-paced action. Despite the wire kung fu, it's pretty intense. And if you've seen Kung Fu Hustle, you know what I'm talking about. And pretty good stuff. I really enjoyed this film immensely. Maybe cry at times too because of the family aspect of being separated from your kid. Kind of like what I'm going through with my son. I must want to make up for lost time when he gets older, but I don't want him to become dependent on me, living with me when he's an adult. But I don't know. It's kind of a Chinese thing that Chinese adults live with their parents later on. It's kind of weird, but anyways. It's got that element. So I guess I should go back to the beginning of the movie since I'm kind of dragging this on too much. But so the adopted brother is kind of he's kind of attracted to power like a magnet. Because power doesn't corrupt necessarily. Just corrupted people are attracted to power. It's more of an accurate statement, and that's certainly the case in this movie. So there are a lot of good themes that I can relate to in this movie. maybe not so much other people, which is why it's not as popular as it should be. But after the big victory, the good guy, Su is his name, S-U, I think is the Pinyin way of saying his name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but probably not. My son could probably pronounce it better. He was kind of eyeing this movie out of the corner of his eye while he's watching Minecraft videos on YouTube, Starbucks, and he actually had to turn the Chromebook away from my DVD player because it was distracting him too much with all the kung fu action. And so, as I was saying, the good guys offered the position of governor after the great military victory, and he declines. He does the right thing. He declines and gives it to his. He gives the office and the title to his adopted brother. He's kind of resentful about it. He says, "You always give me things instead of me earning them," which is kind of ironic because later on he turns into this monster guy. I'll get into that later, but anyways, the good guy wants to start a kung fu school around his theory of kung fu. I forget what it's called. It starts with a W, but he wants to start a family, and he wants to start this kung fu school, which is admirable. Another positive trait of the hero in this movie. So there's a lot of good plot lines going, and so he does that. He has a boy, and like I said, the boy's always crying and whining all the time. But for good reason, like I said. And he becomes attached to his wife quite a bit. So the adopted brother kills his adopted father because his adopted father killed his father, and he also happens to be the brother of the good guy's wife, Sue's wife, who's quite attractive, I might add. Too bad she doesn't get naked in this one, but oh well. So he's out for revenge, and he ends up taking the kid and his sister hostage. Sue comes to the rescue, but the bad guy has this armor sewn into his skin, and he's also got the fist of the five venoms, which is one of the themes that's borrowed from earlier movies. Another theme is the drunken fist. So it's got a lot of themes from earlier movies, but doesn't have the big name Chinese kung fu heroes. Maybe that's another reason why it wasn't so popular. But a lot of names that I hadn't seen before. And so he throws his adopted brother into the river. Uh, the wifey jumps into the river too. I don't know how they survived the Grand Rapids. They would. They should have drowned, which was kind of unrealistic, but they end up washing up on this log. She saves his life by bringing him up this mountain where there's this benevolent doctor who helps the poor and whatnot. Um, so she gets the wifey to make wine while she's tending to the poor, I guess. And she treats the venom uh, of the Sue character, and she saves his life. And so he's recovering. His right arm is all messed up, and he's determined to get his son back. So he starts practicing kung fu. He starts imagining this this god character, and the Chinese guy with the hirsute white head. The hirsute eyebrows and the giant white beard and the long white hair. It's one of the characters from Kill Bill movies. And so he's like imagining that he's fighting these characters, and the doctor character tells the wifey to that he's going crazy. Sure enough, the wifey spies on him, and she finds him sparring with himself. So she believes to the doctor that he's going crazy, and he kind of begs her to have faith in him, because after all, he wants to rescue his son. So he's trying real hard, and he's clawing at this tree and stuff, which helps him later on. And so the wifey gives up, and she attempts to retrieve the son. He's shackled at the ankles, his uncle, and so she goes there. He puts her in a suitcase and buries her alive. She ends up dying, and then Sue shows up, starts beating the crap out of everybody. And he's ripping out the sewn-on armor with his bare hands, and he ends up killing the adopted brother, the bad guy. But the little kid is screaming, "No, don't kill him," because he's the only one who knows where his mother is buried. So by then it's too late. So the one of the guards utters that she's buried in the forest. So they go scrambling, looking for her, and they're walking around the forest, and they hear this thud noise, this wooden crate that she's in. So they start digging frantically, and by then she's already dead from asphyxiation, ironically, which is the cause of death of actually David Carradine, supposedly. It's all very confusing, the circumstance of his death and how it came about. But anyways, so the hero Sue is devastated. He turns into a drunken beggar and he drags his son around. He tries to shuffle him off to this General Ma character who reappears from the battle scene in the beginning, and he's fighting against this U.S. based kind of death match kind of venue. So, and at first he agrees to take care of the son while Sue is getting drunk and on wine and unable to accept the reality of his wife's untimely demise. And around this time, he imagines another opponent, another sparring opponent in some bar place, and he starts adapting the drunken fist method of kung fu, which is kind of a departure from what he'd been using previously. But so the movie takes a 180-degree turn, kind of interesting plot twist. But General Ma invites him inside while he attempts to beat up on the U.S. wrestler-looking kind of guys who are managed by David Carradine, by the way. And General Ma gets beat up pretty bad, so the kid jumps in the ring and bites the big wrestler-looking dude in the leg, and David Carradine is worried that the wrestler dude is gonna like beat up the little kid, which is kind of not fair. So the kid yells out for his father, who's getting drunk at the bar, and he goes in the ring, starts beating the crap out of all six of them, I think. Sometimes 3 at a time with his drunk kung fu moves. And so that's about the long end of it. I tried to hit this movie on all cylinders. I'm pretty amped on caffeine right now with the red line drink. Got about an hour and a half of sleep before I have to go to my graveyard shift, which is ending either this weekend or next weekend. So it's all up in the air. But anyways, I better eat dinner and go to that. I think I've covered all the bases in this one. A lot of different interesting elements of this movie. Like I said, a lot of good themes of stick-to-itiveness and never giving up, that kind of thing. So it's something that I can definitely relate to. I feel the same way. It's like a Horatio Alger Chinese story, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm trying to save up a lot of money so that I can get an even bigger place for me and my son. He can have his own separate room and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. My goal is to save up a lot of money next year. So hopefully I can do some options trading in Robinhood. Get my asset accumulation going really fast. That's my goal. And pretty much given up on the Good Eggs grocery delivery. Cashing out on those options. They haven't even exercised my vesting schedule. according to what it was supposed to be. And so I don't know what's going on with that, and pretty much given up on it. So I better cook my dinner real quick and get going here. Still got to brush my teeth and take my vitamins and stuff. Yeah, that's the end of my review. Laters. Highly recommended. Check it out. Try to post the trailer and or the movie in the description box. Laters.